Welcome to the podcast. This will be our first episode in a series that we will be releasing every week to 2 weeks. We have loose topics that we'll be talking about. They'll mainly be general discussions and conversations. This first episode is going to be a lot about our music background, our current projects, and things we hope to achieve, as well as Age of Exile updates. Stay tuned. Hope you guys enjoy. If you got any questions, leave them in the comments. All right, guys, this is Jacob with Age of Exile. I've got my buddy Caleb here. We have started a project called Morningwood, and I've also helped him out just a little bit on his other project he's got going called Quasar. And he's also got a death metal band called Subjected to Infinity. I'll hand it over to you, Caleb. You can introduce yourself.
So what's up, guys? Like Jacob said, my name's Caleb. I've got a couple of projects going on. I've got a synthesizer-based ambient project, that's Quasar, and death metal band back in Alabama that's Subjected to Infinity. We played a couple shows before I left coming out here to New Mexico. I've been recording and working with Jacob since, I think I was probably in senior year or junior year. When was it? Because Sam introduced us years ago, and we had been working. I know I did when it was just me. When I started Subjected, it was just me doing the EP that I made. I remember working with you when you were still, before you got the house you're in now. We had worked on that together, but it's been a good few years since me and Jacob have been working together on music and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've got a project out here. I'm working on a death metal band called Formaldehyde Dreams out here in El Paso, Texas. We're trying to get some demos going right now, get some music made, try to start doing some shows in Texas, maybe start doing a winter run of the South here soon, hopefully by the end of the year. But other than that, we've got Morningwood going on too. We're both making tracks and editing those for our first debut for Morningwood. Hopefully we can get that done by the end of the year. Get it out to everybody. Try to see if we can get some digipacks made of that, get some tapes as well. And Morningwood is, Age of Exile is kind of like, you've done everything with that so far. Like, you've done the medieval stuff, you've done more of the dungeon synth type stuff as well, and Morningwood's kind of more like, I guess, a testament to the old school dungeon synth, trying to get some more of that stuff. But Age of Exile, so you've just kind of been experimenting with everything with that so far, haven't you, under that moniker?
Yeah, Age of Exile's kind of been like a hodgepodge of stuff. I originally just wanted it to be... I just wanted to sound like it belonged in a video game. I mean, that's how it got started. And then it just kind of evolved from there. And then I was like, well, I want vocals in it, but I don't want a whole lot of singing.
Yeah.
Which is weird, I know, but that's how the whole wizard guy narration stuff happened.
I mean, that's worked out pretty well for you too so far, because what did you say you were doing? You found someone over in Europe to do the voiceovers for it?
Well, so I have a guy, I'm pretty sure it's from Germany. Can't pronounce his name, but he does the singing on the song I released that's just on YouTube right now called A Wizard's Tale. And then I've got a couple other tracks he's going to be on. And then I have another guy named Eric who's from Italy who I hired, who sang, what's the song? Into the Deep. I forget which album that was. I think that was on Nostalgia.
Yeah.
The one I most recently did. And then I actually had my wife sing on New World. All the female vocals on that's my wife on that one. But all the voiceovers comes from one person. His name is Mark, and I don't know where he's from the United States. I don't know where exactly he's from the United States.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, but he, fun fact, actually sang bass for Loretta Lynn. I think it was for I don't know, 15 years or something like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's got an interview he did with some people where he talks about it, and it's really cool. But yeah, I could tell he was a bass singer as soon as he started talking in the interview. His voice was
got it real deep.
3 octaves deep. So It was yeah, but he did a great job on that stuff. And this the newest medieval album is, man, he's got a lot of voiceovers on this one because there's I've got like 17 tracks so far. Most of them have been completed. Some of them are just partially done, and then I have ideas for about maybe 8 more to 10 more tracks. But there's going to be more of a story, I guess, through narration in this one. I almost think of it like a audio movie.
Yeah, I remember you mentioning that. And you said the length was you wanted to shoot for like what, like 2 hours or an hour and 30?
Yeah, it's going to be between an hour and a half and 2 hours long.
It's a nice
It's going to be
solid,
super lengthy.
yeah, a lot of length, which I mean is fine, especially if you're listening. A lot of people that like ambient stuff, a lot of ambient songs can reach 20, 30 minutes. I mean, some projects are just, one composition that's like an hour.
Yeah.
So I definitely think people that are into this style of music and whatnot have the attention span for it.
Oh yeah. I mean, what really got me into the whole wanting to do a super long album was the band Soilwork. They did
Oh yeah,
they did their double disc album called The Living Infinite. Soilwork is, for those of you that don't know, they are one of the first metal bands I really listened to, like real metal. I happen to be one of my favorite bands too. But that dual disc album was just awesome. And I was like, I really want to do something like that.
yeah, something with
So
a lot of length. That was the same mentality that I had when I with Quasar's first project when I did Nebula. I was just me experimenting with I had a. And I mean, you're gonna know exactly too what this is. I'm dropping shit everywhere, but
oh,
the MPK Akai,
okay, that's got to represent. Yeah, I got.
There you go, man. I'm telling you,
This,
this is the music machine right here.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I had a buddy, my buddy Andy. He had one of these, and he was like, "I'm not using it." And he's like, "I know you're a musician. You're gonna make a lot, better use of it than I would." So he gave me that, and I started experimenting with a lot of like software synthesizers and stuff. Eventually, I found a software synth of the Roland Juno 60 or 106, one of my favorite synthesizer lines that Roland ever did, the Juno series. And I used the the Akai for Nebula for Quasar's first EP, and it was like a 30-minute EP, but all those songs are different. They all just have a different vibe and style to them. But with Event Horizon, it was the same thing. It was all basically everything on that album is Juno synth emulation, and it was all done on the just a little MIDI controller. But it was the
Hmm.
same thing. Like I wanted a lot of length, more dark ambient, more droney, really good like meditation music or just space out, play video game music. And everyone that I've shown Event Horizon to so far has like loved it. They love the production, the composition. Like you did a great job mixing that for me. I think it came
Thank you.
out great. Like everyone's been enjoying that so far. But I mean, this little thing, especially for people like if you guys are watching this and none of y'all are really too familiar with synthesizers and stuff, and you kind of want to get into electronic music, not even ambient or dungeon synth, but EDM or making beats and stuff. This is like the fundamental beginner tool to buy, and I got this used on Reverb for like $50. These new go for like 100. Great beginner MIDI controller with some software that people can get introduced to making electronic music with. It's
Dude,
fantastic.
that that little keyboard is freaking awesome. I mean, that's what I did the entire uh New World, Trial of the Sword,
Yeah,
and
all
even
trial of sword.
Nostalgia. Yeah, all three of those, every single instrument, except for there's like one song in Nostalgia, Cliffside, where I recorded the guitar myself.
Hmm.
But like I use that keyboard for literally everything.
Yep.
Um,
I mean, it's super versatile. Like you can achieve so much with just one MIDI controller, and even something that only has like I think this is just 2 octaves too. But I mean,
oh
you've
yeah,
got automation to where you can decrease the octave range on it. You can do arpeggiation, sequencing. Like if you have software or a DAW to go with it, I mean, you can get around all the limitations of the physical
dude, gotta
equipment.
gotta get your Reaper.
Yeah,
That,
dude.
that is the best DAW ever. I love it.
Dude, I'm still. That was the first DAW that I ever bought and and really used in high school was Reaper because I was like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
getting into audio production. What software do I want to use? Do I want to use Ableton or Logic Pro? I was never going to use Pro Tools. I had to learn how to use Pro Tools for my audio engineering degree. Fuck Pro Tools, dude. Like,
Dude, I hate Pro Tools with a passion.
I have, so, Reaper, I've been using it for years. Still haven't paid for a license because I'm a bitch. I will eventually pay for it, Reaper. I love you guys. I appreciate you letting us use your free software. But in college for audio engineering, I had to learn Pro Tools. And this is, the
Oh
good.
Lord.
Yeah, so I had a whole book with it. Like, I think there's a CD in here, and I don't even think it has the software on it. I think it's literally just a CD of this textbook. So, I don't know. I know I got a buddy, Billy. You remember Billy Westfall from Westfall
Hey,
Recordings?
yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah, I
guy
remember him.
that he still wants to do some mixing and mastering for subjected stuff, but I think he specifically or exclusively only uses Pro Tools, and I have nothing against people
Well,
that do it, man. It's just like if I ever do client work like what you've done, and I have, I mean, I just use Reaper.
well, I'll just say this: Pro Tools is a great DAW. I mean,
It is good software. I mean,
functionality, it does everything you need it to do and more. And I mean, a lot of people, especially the bigger producers and stuff. I don't know about right now, but back when I was in college and I was doing some of that stuff. I mean, Pro Tools was the industry standard,
I
and
think
I'm
it still
sure,
is. Right
and
now.
yeah, I mean, you can go get classes and stuff. You get Pro Tools certified and all that other fun stuff. I mean, Reaper. At one point, I remember people making fun of Reaper, like, "Whoa, you actually made something in Reaper and sold it," or and I'm just like, dude,
It's software. I mean,
it's
it
just
doesn't matter.
software. That's
Like,
all it is.
it doesn't matter how you cut down a tree as long as you cut it down. Like, whether you have a
Yeah,
chainsaw or an axe. I don't
I
know.
mean,
A lot of it, I think, is just unwarranted hate. It's just prejudice, just
yeah,
because, and it's all personal preference too. Like,
yeah.
me and you are gonna go to Reaper because we've just been using it for so long. We have so much familiarity and comfort with it. So,
hmm
I think that's just why we've stuck with it for so long.
I mean, I've been using it for, I don't know, 12 years now,
Yeah.
somewhere around 12 years. And that's a thing too, why switch up something when whatever you're working with gets the job done and,
Yeah. If it
you
ain't
know
broke,
it.
don't fix it. Yeah, I completely
Yeah.
understand. I think it's good. Like Reaper's great for a lot of stuff. I mean, all of Quasar's stuff has been mixed and composed in Reaper, but like if I wanted to do EDM or make beats, I could probably use Ableton, which I know is probably more fit for that style of music. Reaper for us metal guys, miking up a cab or a bass DI, it just makes more sense because we've been doing that and that's the kind of genre that we're used to. But you can do I mean, Reaper has MIDI control, you can do just about any genre you want in that as well. But I know a lot of DAWs are more specifically geared towards different genres as well. So that would be
As
one
a,
reason why,
yeah.
to use at least, to at least have two DAWs or familiarity with two DAWs while working as a producer or an engineer.
Yeah. I mean, doing MIDI in Reaper is completely different than doing it in like Fruity Loops.
Yeah.
Fruity Loops, the MIDI and just, making, beats and stuff like that is way easier. I mean, Reaper, all you have to work with is a piano roll and that's it. I mean,
There's
I
probably
can't tell you.
there's probably some limitations, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to tell you enough because I just don't have the familiarity with those other DAWs as well.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I tried using Sonar and I was getting into it and I was like, yeah, Sonar's awesome. I really like it. And then yeah, Sonar doesn't exist anymore. I
Oh,
mean, now
that's
they're they got sold, they sold out sold to what's it called? Band Labs, I think, and
Band
now they're a
Labs,
browser-based
DAW.
DAW,
Yeah,
yeah. And I mean, that's a great idea. If you're collabing with someone and you got like, a browser-based DAW where you can share ideas and save, shit to the cloud and stuff.
yeah.
That's awesome.
I've
But
I've had people mention BandLabs to me before. I personally have never used it, but I've heard it and seen it around before. Absolutely.
yeah, I tried it and I was like, eh, it's not the same,
Yeah.
you know. But
I mean,
yeah,
it makes sense.
it does. Let me see. One thing I want to talk about too is where our music backgrounds actually came from. You know,
Oh yeah.
my my the first rock or closest thing to metal I listened to was Trapped.
Oh man. Oh god.
Trapped
What?
and Breaking Benjamin.
But no, bro.
Oh, and
Okay,
I
so look, so Breaking Benjamin, like okay, for any of you that don't
Breaking,
know,
yeah.
Jack Richter was the singer for my punk band back home, BMG. We were a political punk band. We had done most of our stuff working with Jacob. We actually had planned to do an album. We just weren't able to finish it before Jack moved overseas to go get his law degree, and before I came out here to get my software engineering degree. But Jack, he listened to a lot of Breaking Benjamin, and I obviously had listened to a decent bit because being around him, growing up with him. They were good. I like Breaking Benjamin. Even now, if someone were to put it on, I would still listen to it. Like they were a huge band. We talked about them in my class at Calhoun too with Chris Verena. Like I remember we had a project or something going on, and it was more I think for like labels and rights when working with a label as a music group. Breaking Benjamin is a big band, so we had like their contract. They had like their actual contract with whatever I can't remember the label that they were on at the
Oh, that's
time.
pretty cool.
So we got to look at it and read like what all royalties and like how things were split between this label and Breaking Benjamin. It was really cool, but I mean they're a good band, especially for someone getting into metal or kind of more extreme music. I say extreme. That's like an introductory band to that
I
style
was
of
about to
metal.
say it.
You know,
I enjoy Breaking Benjamin and Trapped is what I listened to when I played RuneScape in middle school. So that's the music I started on.
I grew up. So my mother, like, she had always been brought up on 70s, 80s rock, Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Foreigner, Kansas, Boston, Yes, all of these great bands. So I had a background in like classic rock and even Metallica too. Like that, my mom listened to Metallica a little bit, so Metallica and like Slayer was like the first stuff that I got into. But I mean, like I'm telling you, I've got like old records from like her that I have. Like I've got try to see this within the light if it ever adjusts, but I've got this is a Led Zeppelin Kashmir. I think this is just the symphonic Led Zeppelin rendition of that. I've got old CDs of like Metallica that my mom gave me, like Master of Puppets. I mean, so like classic rock was what I was brought up on with my mother before getting into any type of extreme metal.
Oh
I'm trying
yeah.
to think of what else is. I said Yes. I'm trying to think of what other band. It's a three-piece. They're from Canada, man. Rush. Rush is another one. Rush.
There you go. Yeah, yeah.
Rush. Classic 2112, and then Moving Pictures. Like any type of like old school rock. That's what I was brought up on before ever. Getting really into like Cannibal Corpse and like Necrophagist or extreme death metal or just death metal in general. It was all classic rock. That's what I was brought up on because I would remember I vividly remember being young at my grandparents' house watching Randy Rhoads play Crazy Train with Ozzy on a YouTube video. And I remember him playing the lead intro to Crazy Train. And I'm like, man, I want to learn how to do that. I want to get a guitar and learn how to, do that myself. Play Guitar Hero as a kid too. And it's like, why would I do Guitar Hero when I can play a real guitar? So
Mm-hmm.
I just had a bunch of influence from watching and listening to older bands, getting me into music, and then eventually it compounded into more extreme stuff like Cannibal Corpse and, Spawn of Possession, Defeated Sanity, now like brutal death metal. I listen to so much extreme and different styles of metal now. It's wild.
Dude, yeah. The way that I got into finding these other metal bands, I said I started out with Eminem. I used to listen to Exhibit. I don't know anyone who's ever really listened to Exhibit before, but I used to listen to Exhibit.
I don't know a lot of Exhibit or literally anyone, but you say Eminem, you mean the rapper, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I love
I mean,
Eminem. So I mean,
You know Exhibit. You know Pit My Ride.
I've probably heard of it, but the name, the moniker, the name, I just.
The show Pit My Ride. The host,
Mhm.
main guy was Exhibit, and he had one album that I listened to, and I was like, I like this album. I kept listening to it. But I went from them to Breaking Benjamin and Trapped, and then I forget. Man, I was a nerdy little kid in middle school. It was like sixth grade, and I had just gotten into Trapped and Breaking Benjamin, and I was like, "Oh, dude, you gotta listen to this metal band, this hard rock band," and it was Trapped and Breaking Benjamin, and it was this girl, and she said, "That's not metal. You need to listen to Bullet for My Valentine."
Bullet for my
So
Valentine. Yeah, I listened to
then I
them in
got
middle
into
school.
them. Yeah, I got to into them. The Poison and Scream Aim Fire. Those two albums were like my jam back in the day, and from there I would use well, first things first, I got into, I guess, the more European side, like Soilwork, Amon Amarth, people,
Yeah.
bands over there. I actually turned on the TV one day before the bus picked me up for school, and I turned on the metal channel.
Hmm.
It was like channels that you would never ever watch, channel like 832 or something like that, some stupid number. And it had Soilwork on there, and they were playing the song Exile, and I was like, that's pretty neat. So
That's
after I got
crazy.
home
Yeah.
from yeah, no, after I got home from school that day, I got on the computer into iTunes, and I typed them in and started listening to their stuff. And then I started they they had this button where it's like, I don't remember. It's like, if you like these guys, then you might like these
It's
guys.
it's the same thing Spotify has now. If you use Spotify, like
Yeah.
the Spotify will recommend artists depending on what style of music or genre you're listening. That's how I find a lot of music nowadays too. Is I get Spotify for free working at Starbucks, so I use it a lot to find new music. And then if I like it a lot or I like an album a lot, I'll buy it and add it to my iTunes. Like I buy music on iTunes or Bandcamp, and I'll just put it all in iTunes because I use an iPhone. It's over there charging, but um, Spotify does that. They've got an algorithm that recommends music based on what you're listening to, and that's a good way, get people to
Yeah.
listen to new music, new artists as well. So it obviously works.
I mean, it's a great way. Um, it's funny. I don't have a Spotify account. I've got one for Age of Exile.
Yeah, you've
To
got your
post
artist
music
page.
on
Yeah.
there, but I don't. I haven't ever had like a streaming app or anything for music. And I've never, except for when I was in like middle school and high school, I never actually paid for digital download or paid for. Let me rephrase that. I paid for digital downloads and stuff in like middle school and high school, but after that, I never paid for digital downloads. I'm not saying I pirated things. What I'm saying is,
We
I would
don't
only
condone
buy.
illegal activity here.
We don't. But what I'm saying is, I would buy like the physical CDs only,
Yeah.
just because I liked having that artwork in my hands.
I'm the same way, dude, because, like, a lot of music. I was cleaning my house earlier, so it could be a cool time to kind of show some collection stuff like what we've got. But I'll do the same thing. I'll find bands or albums, and then I'll buy the digital version of their music. But like, let me see. I'll show you what I got. I got my little tape collection because I love collecting vinyl, and my vinyl's in my closet. But I've got a small little tape collection here I can go through just for all the nerds out there that kind of want to get into some cool music. Let me show you this. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I got 7 tapes. This is nothing in comparison to what some people have, but I recently spent, I think this was like $45, but I really wanted this band, Vortex, if my thing loads or gets it. It's called Colors Out from the Emptiness. This is a Japanese progressive death metal band.
Oh, dude, nice.
And I showed this to Liam and Drew, and Liam really dug it. This album, this is the only thing they ever did. And the label was called, or the people that made the tape was called Psychic Scream, I think in Malaysia, or in, just somewhere in the East. I found the guy on Instagram who had this tape, and I was like, hey, I want to buy this. Like, I love this record. This is a super underrated band, super underrated album that I tell people about all the time, and they've never heard about it. Amazing band, amazing album. But I got that tape. This is probably the most expensive one I've ever paid for. Was Vortexes. I have. So for people that listen to Blood Incantation and know Paul Riedel and know that he does, a lot of synthesizer based stuff as well. Also, big inspiration for me getting into synth and ambient as well. Besides Chris Verena from Nine Inch Nails, Paul has a lot of ambient music that he makes through a label called SFI Recordings. Yeah, based in Seattle, I believe. This is his AMV5. So it's just a compilation of different tracks that he had made. This is the Water tape. This is a great tape, just all ambient, no vocals or anything, just all synth loops. Really good meditation and like study music. Absolutely great stuff. Got the limited edition of that tape. Absolutely amazing. Paul does great work, both in his death metal projects and with his synth stuff. A buddy of mine, Edward Longo, from Tennessee. This is Sunken Basilica. This is his Dungeon Synth cassette that I bought. I think he's actually preparing to do some more work for it now. If anyone listens to Skin Tension, they're a pretty well-known band from Tennessee. They do a lot of just experimental metal type stuff. Skin Tension does a lot of wild shit, but Edward does a synthesizer, dungeon synth based stuff too. Kind of like really crazy composition stuff. This is like a really off-putting type of dungeon synth. It's not really something you would listen to and be like, oh, it's calm, medieval. This is really kind of like more ethereal and I want to say menacing, but it just has this vibe and tone to it. I forget the guy who mixed and mastered this for him. I don't know if it's on here, but this is really good as well. Sunken Basilica is a great dungeon synth project that Edward has done. A band from Florida that's gotten really big recently that a lot of people like. Worm. This is Blue Nothing, the EP from Worm. I got this from $20 Spin. Amazing label. They have a bunch of insane bands that I listen to on their label all the time.
Dude, I like the artwork and the color of the tape in it too.
Oh yeah, no Worm. So I know Ken's Death Metal Crip. He's a dude who does a lot of death metal interviews and talks to a lot of upcoming death metal bands. And he did a interview with Phantom Slaughter, and Phantom is the guy who basically steers the car for Worm. I would love to do an interview with him at some point, but same kind of thing with us. Super nerdy, into a lot of Death Doom stuff, especially with a lot of inspiration for what like my band here has been getting into, like more old school Death Doom stuff. But Worm, Blue Nothing, this is a solid EP. If you guys have never listened to that, Worm does a lot of really good stuff, kind of mixing black metal, death metal, and doom metal. And Phantom takes a lot of inspiration from the '90s death metal scene as well, from like, Obituary, Death, obviously. This is a shout out to my buddies in Colorado, Astral Tomb. This is their debut. This is Soul Gazer. I got this tape. I think this was a reissue from Blood Harvest Records. Yeah. Amazing debut. Really cool. There's a synth track on here, 5-minute synth track that's just kind of like wild. These guys have a lot of inspiration from Blood Incantation, same as Subjected to Infinity. And the kids that, did this tape and worked on it, it's Michael, Adrian, and Zach. Amazing stuff. I'm actually planning, if I can, I'd really try to move up to Colorado if I can make it work and try to work in the music scene up there with those boys before I ever come back home to Bama. They do some really sick music. I've got 2 more tapes and then I'll be done. This is Lycothea of Flame. This is I want to say progressive brutal death metal album. Egyptian themed. It's like basically a spiritual album. It's an amazing record. I think I've shown you probably some of their stuff before, but
yeah, you probably have.
I don't remember. Lifeless Chasm. That's either the label or the press that made tapes for this. Lycothea of Flame is an underground death metal gem. Absolutely amazing. And then last but not least, No Cure from Alabama. Kind of like hardcore death metal. I think these guys are on tour right now. Blythe, Aesop, Jake, and I'm gonna mess his name up because I can't remember, because I met him before I left. It's Duncan Newey, I think is his name. I'm probably messing it up, and if you're watching this, I apologize, man, because I can't remember of all the stuff we're having to remember for this podcast and whatnot. But No Cure, great band. got the tape from them when they played back home before I came out here to New Mexico. But that's all the tapes that I have, just those small ones. But each one of those I absolutely love. They have a lot of inspiration from me for the stuff that I do for Quasar, for Subjected, and pretty much any of the projects that I work on. I mean, I listen to a lot of different genres and take inspiration from almost anything that I can. I don't really stay, or have tunnel vision on one genre and kind of stick with that. I love experimenting with music, and I love kind of like putting my feet into different waters with it as well when I'm making music.
It's funny you mentioned that, because I'm the complete opposite. I like I don't know what it is, but ever since like I started writing the first New World album, like I have stopped listening to new bands and everything. I have only been listening to. I'm about to sound what's the word, conceited or something. I've only been listening to my stuff, because I'm trying to see what I can improve on, and did I make a mistake here, or should I have done something else here?
That's a completely
Um,
valid thing, though, because I mean I've
but
done the same thing.
yeah, but I will say that there was one band that I listened to recently that I really liked, called Wind Rose.
Windrose.
Yeah, and they are actually one of my little buddies at work. Shout out to Zeke if he ever watches this. Um, he actually showed it to me. They're like dwarven metal,
So kind of like
but
Amon Amarth, kind of have their own
well,
theme and whatnot.
yeah, it's kind of like Amon Amarth. By the way, I had this CD handy. Great album,
It's a classic.
but yeah, they're kind of like Amon Amarth, but it's a lot less. He doesn't like Amon Amarth. They don't like scream. It's like yelling, where Wind Rose is kind of like still close to yelling, but he's also still singing.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I've only listened to one song by him because I just recently listened to him, like I don't know, like 2 days ago,
Yeah.
3 days ago. But yeah, I'm gonna definitely check them out because they got some grooving stuff. So they're pretty cool.
I think
I like.
I think the vocal thing definitely has an effect on me with metal that I listen, especially with metal that I listen to, because sometimes I'll listen to bands or a song that absolutely, kicks ass compositionally, and then the vocals can either make or break it for me.
Oh
Um,
yeah,
I'm really picky when it comes to vocals. I love the '90s old school death metal vocal styles, like early stuff that Chuck did for Death, that John Tardy did for Obituary. Atheist too. Kelly, his vocals are they're different than a lot of the old school death metal stuff. But Atheist was just jazzy death metal, like them and Cynic, Cynic mixing the clean vocals with like I think they would use synthesizers or like a vocoder over their stuff or that more ethereal. It vocals can really make or break it for a lot of music for me, but some stuff is really good. And Amon
man,
Amarth, I don't know the dude's name, but I mean his vocals. I mean he has just such a powerful and fitting voice for that band.
dude, he does. Man, I love it. I see some live videos and stuff, and he comes out and
Oh yeah,
he has a giant ass Thor's hammer, and like as soon as he hits the ground with it, fire goes
the
everywhere. Pyrotechnic.
Mjolnir. Yeah,
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it.
I've seen videos of their live set, and I would love to go see Amon Amarth live at some point before I die. But
Dude, I'm so mad. The one time that they were like near Alabama
mhm.
and actually was going to play a live show, I didn't go.
I just got busy. I mean,
I got busy. Life happened. I didn't go. But I will say, I did see Meshuggah play in Atlanta,
yeah,
like a few years, actually more than a few years ago now, quite a little while ago. But they were. I don't know how to. Their music is already just fucking ridiculous,
yeah.
dude.
No, trust
Like
me.
it is just stupid. Like it in a good way. But like live, I was expecting. I was like, okay, someone's gonna have one tiny flub somewhere. Dude, no. Every single member of that band, like, spot on. And in fact, their vocalist, I
Jens
forget his
Kidman.
name.
Jens Kidman.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was sick at the time. He was back in Europe.
Oh really?
So they had a cardboard cutout of him on stage, which was really cool. And you can tell how tight of a band they are because they actually took his live vocal performance from a previous show and played that over
And
the
overdubbed
PA.
it.
They played to it. Yeah, that was their backing track, and dude, it was phenomenal. It was
Yeah.
awesome.
I got lucky. I was lucky enough because Jack and I went to Nashville because Jack, me and him would go to a lot of death metal shows, just me and him, for anything that we could catch before I moved out here. And I remember us going to Tennessee to go see. It was Meshuggah and the Black Dahlia Murder, and then I think there was another band or two bands that opened up before. I can't remember, but I know specifically those two that were on that tour. The Black Dahlia Murder was amazing. They were super tight and clean. Rest in peace, Trevor Schnad. I mean, anyone that knows what happened with him, like, obviously he committed suicide recently. So I mean, it's been probably about a couple of months now. It's really sad to hear, but Black Dahlia Murder was absolutely amazing live. It was really cool to see that. And then Meshuggah played. I think they were headlining, and I still have a video or two. I think either on my phone or I put it on my YouTube. But that show was insane. I mean, and Frederick, I think it was. There's this other guy, and I can't remember his name. He's an amazing guitarist, but he was filling in for Frederick for that tour and that show. But
dude,
their lives,
those are some big ass shoes to fill.
yeah, no, I mean that their live set was insane, like no mistakes. It was absolutely nuts. I don't remember if it was the end in Nashville. I don't remember what venue it was, but the whole floor, like I mean, it was just crowded and packed, man. And I was just
Dude,
trying to
that's awesome.
I was just trying to get videos of it. But those two bands, the Black Dahlia and Meshuggah, they ripped. I mean, it was insane. Absolutely tight, clean. Live performance was amazing. Very inspirational stuff.
Man, I'll tell you, my most memorable like live concert show, whatever, was Mayhem Festival,
Mayhem
and
Fest.
I believe I don't think they're doing it anymore. I believe I went to the festival the last year that they had it. I think it was around 2012. I'm probably wrong, but that festival was amazing, dude. They had Slayer,
Mm-hmm.
they had As I Lay Dying, they had Slipknot, Motorhead. Um,
Motorhead.
they they even had The Devil Wears Prada, which I was never super big into that
It's an old
band.
band from middle school and high school that I remember listening
Yeah,
to. I don't listen to them now at all, but I do remember listening to them back then.
yeah, they're another middle school RuneScape type band for me. I didn't listen to a lot of them though. But they played. There was Whitechapel, Anthrax.
Whitechapel.
There was a new band that I found there called Dirt Fed, which I really liked them, but they had a unique. I'm just gonna say they had a unique vocalist.
Yeah.
My wife, whenever I play that stuff, Holly, she hates that kind of music. She can't stand it. That's one of the vocalists where she's just instantly like, can you just turn it to something else?
Yeah.
Because it's like not really screaming and it's not really yelling, but it's also not really singing.
I
You would have
told
to
you, man.
listen to understand. It's
Yeah,
just weird.
I get you. Don't worry. I mean, like I said, vocals can make or break music. It really just depends.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like the icing on the cake, but I mean, I digress.
yeah. I mean, I guess to switch subjects a little bit, jumping back to how we got started with all this stuff. Uh, I first my first live show that I ever actually played, where I was getting into music, wanting to record and do everything like that, was with a hard rock metal band. This was back in like 2012, 2013, somewhere around there. I remember because I played bass for it. I had a PB TNT 115. It was like a 500-watt combo amp. It was a beast, and someone spilled beer on it and it broke. But then Guitar Center just gave me a full refund.
Hey, well, there you go. I
So
mean,
I was like, okay, cool. But
that's not the first time I've heard someone spilling beer on equipment and they getting fucked up. So
yeah, I was sad. I was like, dude, I was just so mad. But yeah, I started with that band, which I'll remain nameless, and then eventually went into my band that I made, called Angel's Revenge. It was a joint effort between me and my wife. She sang in it, and a couple other my buddies. And then we haven't played anything since. It's been like 3 to 4 years. But speaking of being diverse, I had my first gig as a country band in April.
You looking forward to
So
that?
that's gonna be fun, dude. There is nothing like getting, you know, a little buzzed and getting on stage and just having a good time.
Oh yeah,
It's
no,
a lot of fun.
I'm right there with you. The last, I think the very last show that Subjected did right before I moved out here, I got, I got blasted out of my mind. I had smoked right before that show, and I played it high, and I just remember singing and playing guitar on stage at the Firehouse in Birmingham, and like I was nervous, and like my leg while I was standing up, like my back right leg, was just like twitching and shaking, and I'm
Oh
like,
shit!
oh, I'm like, come on, leg, stop moving. But no, I would do that. BMG, we would Daniel's the youngest. He had to sneak alcohol in, and like he'd have to sneak beer in or something in like a big gulp cup and drink it
Oh
at the bar
yeah,
just so he could have a buzz because he was underage, you know.
incognito. Yeah.
But we would have like a beer before the show, and same thing in Colorado. I remember about a Blue Moon in Colorado when we toured up there with BMG, and I drank like half of it. And the altitude's so high, like you get drunk quicker. So I drank like half that Blue Moon, and I'm like, all right, I can't drink anymore. I was like, and but luckily too, it was expensive. But we played that show, and then we played at Herman's Hideaway with Astral Tomb. That was a tour that we did with them, and
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
Undisassembled was the other band. I think Undisassembled is actually about to do a tour right now too. So shout out to you guys. I hope you have fun on that. But the bar was like, oh yeah, they came from Bama. They're like, drinks are on us. So like, I remember after that show, Griffin, Jack, and Daniel, they were all like, all right, free shots. And then I had to drive our ass like all the way
Oh
back
hell
to
yeah!
Colorado Springs from Denver, like an hour and 30-minute drive.
Oh man,
But there's nothing like playing live on stage like that. That's the biggest thing I miss being out here. And with my new band, Formaldehyde Dreams in El Paso, like once we get these demos recorded and we get these songs under our belt and tight, and the kids too, like, because they're mostly kids. They're like anywhere from like 19 to like 20. I think John is the only older guy in the band. He's the rhythm guitarist. He's older than me, but most of them are just kids, and they're all stoked to play some live shows. Because I mean, it's one of them never has. Tony never has, but he's a huge metalhead. Goes to shows all the time, and I've told him, I'm like, man, once you get on stage and you play, it's not for everybody. I know Griffin didn't like it when he did it with BMG. He filled in a tight spot picking up after Kendall, and I'll never let him not know that it's appreciated that he did that. But for some people, it's not the best feeling in the world being on stage, in that
dude,
environment.
I this is gonna contradict what I said, but I hate being on stage because I get super nervous, but at
Yeah.
the same time, I love being on stage and playing.
Mm-hmm.
It's a
Oh, I still get butterflies, man. And I've played on stage. Like I know Liam too. Like Liam's played so many more shows under my belt or under his belt than I have mine. But it's just a great feeling.
dude, it really is. So let's see. I guess
How long have we been in here now? How long has the podcast gone on for? I haven't even been
that's
keeping
what I'm
track of
trying
the
to think
time.
of.
I didn't
This is
set
the
a
first
timer.
time I didn't either. I didn't set one either. I don't even know how long we've been. I don't know.
That's
I
fine.
ain't got a
It'll be
clue.
fine.
Trying to. Let me. I might have an idea. I don't know. I don't care anymore. Um, I don't give a
It
shit. I
don't
don't care.
matter. There's plenty of stuff to
It is
talk
what
about,
it
and
is.
we got plenty more podcasts we'll do. I know one thing I do want to mention if we end up cutting it soon. I have my first hardware synthesizer finally coming in the mail that I got from Reverb.
Dude, solid.
The next podcast that we do, I will probably show it off. I'm clearing off this space on this piece of furniture that my great grandparents have given to me. I'm going to clear off the top of it and have my synth set up here, have like a nice, sexy little setup so I can plug everything in through my studio monitors and try to get like a few pedals and whatnot. Going to be experimenting a lot with that hardware, but the next podcast we do, I'll try to get some photos that I could show in post that we can put up or I'll just move my camera and show it. I'm excited to finally get some hardware stuff for Quasar because the first album, Event Horizon, was, again, I said all digital. It was basically all Juno synth done with the MIDI controller. So I am planning with the next Quasar LP to have what I call the space station, which is basically just going to be, just a few hardware synthesizers and me just having just this simple setup with those synths and some pedals and just kind of creating this sick, little setup that I can do for the next Quasar LP. And it'll just be that. I'm going to try to experiment with
Hell yeah.
miking some cabs, trying to get some cool tones, trying to move away from the digital stuff, trying to do more analog or kind of more DIY. I just kind of want to experiment with that, especially since I've been doing digital ambient, for a while now. I'm excited to try to step away from that and see what I can do.
Dude, I would love to mess around with like hardware synths and stuff, but I mean, I'll show it. This right here, this keyboard, which I got a bunch of crap on it. That's about as much as a hardware synth as I'm ever gonna have, and all it is just a
Giant MIDI controller.
It's just a MIDI controller. It's an upgrade from my little Akai that I have, and I mean, when I think about spending that much on a hardware synth, I could invest it into something else. For me, at least, in my studio or for the other live projects and stuff that I have.
I think
And
I think it won't be an issue because I mean, me and you do a lot of ambient stuff already as it is, and we've got Morningwood now that we're both kind of duoing with that project. So like anytime if I end up moving back close to Bama and whatnot, I will hopefully have accumulated some hardware synths that I can just bring in, and then that'll give you plenty of time to kind of play with them while I'm there and
oh yeah,
really get you to see how you like doing that because I know you use Omnisphere. And that's like $1,000 for that software, but
dude,
you've got basically everything you need there if you have a good MIDI controller that you can set parameters to and program. You know what I mean?
oh yeah. I mean, I use a range of software, but my top three that I go to is well, like you said, Omnisphere, and then I've got something called East West, the Gold Edition, which was still really expensive, and that's like the cheapest one for the orchestra version, whatever. And then something called Best Service Medieval.
Yeah, I remember you telling me about
Obviously,
that.
yeah, obviously that's what I use for my medieval stuff.
Timpani and a bunch of different old style instruments.
Yeah, it's got like medieval lute, a Renaissance lute, bass sitar. It's got a zither, a cornet or something like that. I don't know how to pronounce it.
It's just a
I
myriad
don't
of
remember.
different obscure
It's
instruments.
got a bunch of crap in it, basically. Old sounding crap that sounds really cool.
That's sick though. I mean, that's one great thing about software, man. Is like if you don't have, I mean, I don't. My studio is my bedroom at the moment, so it's like, software kind of comes in handy, taking away the space factor of many things, so you don't have to take up as
Yeah.
much space in your studio, and you still have the accessibility of using that in your projects.
Yeah, it does. And I mean, once the awesome thing is once I get my new house, which means I'll probably be not releasing as much stuff for a little bit. But once I sell this house and get my new house, like I'm gonna have a legitimate studio. I'd like to think my studio here is legit, but if I'm being honest, it's more of a glorified home studio.
I remember you telling me that, and it's the same thing that I
Yeah.
have, man. Like it doesn't matter because obviously you go to an actual studio, it's a lot different of an environment, but there's plenty of amazing projects that have been made and releases that have been done in a very, you know, very humble environment, should I say? So
Oh yeah.
I never really feel bad about that. I mean, I make coffee for a living, so it's like I can only fund so much stuff and getting the gear that I want, but I still like the demo that I released for Formaldehyde Dreams out here. Like that was, just me recording guitar, bass, DI, and then just having program drums, and then having my singer come over here and sing into my little mic that I have right above here. So like, it was very, very bare bones and DIY, but everyone that has listened to that demo has told, given us nothing but positive feedback. So,
I was about to say, yeah, dude, for a demo, that thing sounded good.
yeah,
Thing
everyone
was good
was,
sound.
thank you. Everybody has appreciated and enjoyed it so far. So, I don't really get caught up on that too much. Like, my ideal situation whenever I have my own house is, I'll have like my synth rack. I'm going to have different cabs along the wall. I'll have like a wall of different heads because I love mic and cabs. I just prefer to do that. Same with bass equipment, keyboard. Um, but I mean, that's thousands and thousands of dollars of gear and
Oh
thousands,
yeah,
thousands of hours of accumulated time and equipment. So you build up to it. Rome wasn't built in a day.
dude, that's what I was about to say. Like my studio, I'm gonna have the foundation basically to make a great studio whenever I get my new place. But all it's gonna have the bare necessities. It's gonna have, you know, the properly treated room. It's gonna have big enough space. It'll have like 400 to 500 square feet of actual people can be in there and recording.
Yeah,
And then the rest of it's gonna be two closed off little areas. One for me for my you know uh my console and everything where I'm going to be at recording, and then another one where bathroom because dude, you got to have bathroom.
yeah. You
And
don't want people shitting where they're drumming.
no, and then yeah, and but I'm going to have to, dude. I looked at some of the like I've been debating on just getting another audio interface and then using ADAT and just having two audio interfaces and sharing the inputs. But I've also been looking at a I forget. I think it's an Allen and Heath. It's a recording, like an actual recording console. Like it's like a $25,000 or $30,000 big ass mixer board, basically.
I remember you telling me about that.
And
Yeah,
and that's honestly on the lower end of things
for consoles.
yeah.
Oh no, I mean I completely get that. I I've got a humble little Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 audio interface, and I haven't had a need to upgrade that. I have a drum kit, but I don't have anywhere to set up my drums and hook up 8 mics, 6 mics to it, with the XLR inputs. So, you know, I got programmed drums. If I want to make drums, I'll just program them because it can play it better than I can anyways at the moment. So
Yeah.
that works for that. But I mean, it's all stuff you do and you accumulate over time, man. Like studios
Mhm.
are basically just it takes a lot of time to build it up.
It does.
Any engineer producer I've talked to has said that, like, you just get stuff, find it over the years, and just slowly add to it or take away. So, but I mean, it's a personal thing too. It definitely, you can tell people's personalities by how their studio is set up and what kind of gear they have and how they've set. It's a cool thing, especially if you're a nerd and you're an engineer and producer. Like, it's cool to see how
Oh, yeah.
people have their stuff set up like that. I think at least.
Yep. It's going to be a learning experience.
It'll be cool with time, though. I mean, I know once you get the new place,
Yeah.
too, you'll have more space, so that'll definitely help out with anything that you've got wanting to space it out and get things set up. But that's all stuff you'll figure out once you get there.
Dude, I'm gonna get a queen size futon as well. So I mean, if you ever back in town or anything,
Oh,
have a
that's
late night studio session or something.
yeah. I forgot. That's another thing. I guess we can mention before we cut the podcast is I have my interview or not interview, my internship with you when I come back. That's what I've been telling everybody out here. I'm like, oh, I'm going back to Alabama for an internship. I'm actually
There you
just
go.
coming back to watch my singer's cats while his parents are gone for a month. But no. So when I'm back home at the beginning of summer, I'm gonna be home for over a month. So anytime that you're free,
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna basically try to come over. We can work on some Morningwood stuff and anything that you're working on with the country stuff, mixing wise and whatnot. I'll come over. Probably
Yeah.
just shadow you and might try to just compose some stuff while we're there and podcast as well. We'll probably do a couple of podcasts while I'm back home. So at least
Dude, yeah.
it'll be easier recording me sitting next to you in the same room instead
Oh,
of
yeah.
doing the Discord thing. So
Oh, dude, the Discord thing's a pain in my ass.
we'll figure it out. I'm not too worried about it, but that will be fun. I'm really looking forward to coming back home. doing that work with you, and then I think Liam and Drew kind of want to do a show with Subjected while I'm back home. And I know that you
They
mentioned
do it.
playing bass. If you were interested, I have the tabs and everything. If you've got your bass in C standard, we'll be able to play. Might
Hell
be able to
yeah.
get us a show at a firehouse. I'm gonna keep that pretty secret until I get home and kind of can get confirmed with Drew and with Drew and Liam if they're comfortable doing that. If we can do a show while I'm back home, that would be pretty sick.
Hell
And
yeah.
maybe
Dude,
try
yeah,
to
for
maybe
sure.
get some more recording done for Subjected while I'm back too. Because I know we've
Dude, I
been
think that'd be good.
been
Yeah.
recording this EP for like what now? It's been in
Well,
limbo for like
I was
a
about to say,
year.
you say we've been recording, but really we recorded for like a week and then haven't done anything for a year. So,
We've been working
I
hard.
mean,
We've been working hard.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's coming together. I'm really looking forward to getting that new music out with Subjected. I've got some sick art for some long sleeves. I've already got the artwork for the EP whenever we drop it, and then Liam and I have been working. I've already been coming up with ideas, and we have songs for the next album already. I just have to figure out when we're gonna start that because we're doing the EP with you. That's 3 songs at least so far I know, and then we've got 2 other songs that are basically done that we're working on a split with my buddy who lives in Louisiana and his band Manus. So I know we have like 5 new songs that we haven't been able to get out that I'm super stoked to get out for Subjected because we're definitely moving forward as far as like our sound and tone. You know, it's going to be a lot different than how the album was. I mean, I remember showing you the song. I mean, you've heard, so you have an idea. But
Dude, yeah. You're every time you show me the, new stuff you've been doing, it's always it seems like it always takes it to the next level, next step.
I'm super stoked to get that out. And I know that Liam and Drew are as well. Um, and I know Tellurian's been over too. You've been working on their stuff. I don't want to say too much because I don't know how much, that James and you guys have gotten out, but I know that they've been over
Well,
there a couple of times.
we I'm just waiting on Drew to get back in touch with me, whenever he wants to finish, redo just a couple drum parts, wants to do some things a little different,
Hmm.
and do a couple gang shouts, and then, dude, it's done. Like it'll that song will be done. I don't know how much more they want to do. They want to do more songs, or I'm sure it sounded to me like he wanted to do a couple more songs. So
Yeah, I've talked to James. Hopefully, because I've spent 2 years with that band and we never recorded. Hopefully, might be able to talk to him when I come back home. Try to see if I can do some guest solos on some of their stuff. Because
yeah,
I know when I was in that band and we were working on it, we never really had a lot of spaces for solos in that music, just for how James was writing stuff. But
oh, it's busy.
yeah, the way that he writes, it definitely is. It's sick though, but I think that would be cool. Might try to talk to him and see if I can jump on and do something. Just do some little solos here and there, or do some, anything. Just because I'd like to have some affiliation and put out with them since I worked with them for so long. I really miss
Oh
playing with
yeah.
those guys. I miss jamming with them and doing shows with them. That stuff was sick. But is there anything else you want to segue to? I don't know how long we've
Oh,
been going on the podcast.
well, here I'll mention just a couple little things, and then I'll wrap it up. First things first.
We got
Check it out.
digipacks.
I got the I don't know if it's gonna focus. I don't know, but I got the Trial of the Sword physical CDs that are available to purchase. So check it out. It's on my Bandcamp,
Links
Age
will
of
be
Exile
below. We'll
Bandcamp.
put the links below in the YouTube description
Yeah.
too. So
And for those of you that like stickers, I put a couple stickers up too. So get you an album, get you a couple stickers. It'd be greatly appreciated. I have finally came up with a album name for the next electronic album I'll be doing. It's called Abandoned Planet. Um, Basically, okay, so the storyline is New World. Shit went down, and 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 sorry about that. Ring doorbell's going on the fritz.
phones, bro.
Yeah, I know. So, okay, you got New World, and it's about our lady hero who basically has to find a new planet to live on because AI robots and shit took over, and basically they want to kill her. So she's trying to escape and find a new place to live. So Trial of the Sword is about her getting sucked into a wormhole and get taken, to the Middle Ages,
Medieval
um,
times.
medieval times, and
Oh
then
yeah.
then the wizard guy basically tries to help her, go through the Trial of the Sword, which is just a fancy way of saying do some important stuff, and then you'll awaken some deep powers within you, and you can get your ship running again and go back into outer space. So Abandoned Planet or Nostalgia was about getting back into space and basically just thinking about everything that's happened. So that one was kind of a shorter album, but Abandoned Planet is about basically finding a place that she thought she could make a home on, but she can't. Like there was life on it at one point, buildings and all that other stuff like that, but everything's vacant. Nobody's there. It's supposed to have a very I don't know what the proper way to describe it is. It's gonna sound kind of like the same style as New World, but at the same time, note wise and musically, it's gonna steer it kind of in a little bit different direction, kind of
Yeah.
like a little more melancholy, I
Yeah.
guess.
You're trying to capture a vibe too. So I mean, compositionally,
Yeah,
you're not going to be writing major stuff, obviously. So
yeah.
I
So
completely get
it's
that. Trust me.
yeah. My favorite keys and stuff to write in is sad and depressing. So there's that. Um, but then A Wizard's Tale, my next medieval album, basically has nothing to do with our heroine or whatever. It's about the actual wizard guy that did the voiceover, in the Trial of the Sword, and it's basically just about how his journey, or it's about his journey and how he started, became a wizard, and how he basically did a bunch of important stuff and is transcending beyond, the mortal plane, kind of like watching, you know, uh, watching over the earth, or I'm not gonna say Middle Earth, but watching over the earth.
There's that Tolkien reference.
Yeah, no, watching over the earth. Just without actually being seen. And basically, when he transcends, is when somebody else will take over on Earth, and he'll train him, and it'll just be a never-ending cycle. But
Like a watchful warrior or a
yeah,
guardian type thing. That's sick,
yep.
dude. I mean, with all the lore and whatnot, I think that's definitely something you should put in the digipacks and in the at least on the, like the Bandcamp descriptions for the stuff too. Is a lot of lore. A lot of people like that. I'm one of those nerds that like anytime someone has some music and they put out, and if they like write a story to go with it. There's this dude that does a project. I think the project's name is Delmac O, and he does synthesizer based ambient, and it's more kind of like melancholic and kind of like space themed sci-fi
Hmm.
stuff. But he has stories or transmissions that he writes with each of
Oh
his
yeah,
projects while you listen to the music. I think that's sick. I love stuff like that. So
dude. Yeah, it honestly, and it's a lot of fun to write. I mean, it I mean, of course, writing regular music is a very awesome creative outlet, but I really enjoy. It seems it's more fun to me to almost like spell out with a voiceover, or spell out, with just straight up telling the story.
yeah,
Whether, like you said, whether it be on the Bandcamp description, or that's a good idea too, to put it in like a booklet,
yeah.
that comes with the physical CD. It's just a lot more fun to do something like that because I feel like I can get away with more.
I love
You
stuff
know.
like that. I know for the next subjected release for the EP that we have, I had made cassette tape like J card mock-ups on Photoshop, and I put a QR code on the back with like the picture of me, Liam, and Drew. And so there's a QR code, so when people scan it, it takes them to this link, and it's just stuff you can. It's just nerdy stuff, man. I love shit like
Dude,
that.
you know, it's funny you said that. I made custom stickers for my what's that hashtag shameless plug? My
Shameless
country
plug.
band, my country band is Drunken Memphis. That's the one I'm gonna be playing in April. We ordered stickers basically where you the stickers have the logo, but then they have the QR code, so we're gonna stick them in random places, and when if someone scans it, it takes it to our Facebook page. But
Someone got me the other day. I was driving home from work. They had a QR code on the back of their van. I was like, all right, let's give it a whirl. So I got my phone out and scanned it, and then it went straight to the Rickroll video. You know, never gonna
yeah,
give you. So I was like, all right.
oh dude, that is
I
great.
was like, that's pretty good. All right.
I like
Good
that.
thing. Good thing. I
That's a
love
good
'80s
one.
music and '70s music because I was like, I enjoy this.
You'll like my Abandoned Planet. Then it has a very '80s vibe to it.
Yeah, I think it'll be sick, man. I'm looking forward to it. Everything they've done so far with Age of Exile has been pretty solid. So definitely think it's getting a definitely think it's getting a good fan base too, especially with Trial of the Sword. A lot of people seem to
Oh
have
yeah,
good reception. A lot of good
yeah.
reception on that album
I
specifically.
I, I was very pleasantly surprised with that. I wasn't expecting it to. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to get 500 views on the YouTube,
Yeah,
but you know, last time I checked, it was like 25,000, and that's, dude, that for me, that's like awesome. I love it.
that's
Like
incredible,
I'm
man. The
super
outreach.
appreciative.
I
Oh
think it's
yeah,
sick. But
yeah, it's awesome. The support is just great. I love it. Um, but I guess this is where we'll wrap it up. Um, we can try and do a. We'll try and make these podcast episodes. I'm wanting to do them weekly. But since this is the first time that I'm doing this, we'll just see what happens. At most, it will, or if worst comes to worst, it'll be bi-weekly for now. But we're gonna try and make it weekly. And like I said in the beginning of the video, this is gonna be, honestly, we're just here to talk about random stuff. Um,
music, new projects going on, new bands that I find, gear reviews for any of the gear sluts out there, nerds that want to talk about gear, stuff like that, how we record,
mm,
how the process is for that. I mean, just I don't know anything. Like I'm always down to give band shout outs and mention music that I'm listening to on new and upcoming bands or bands that have already been around. Talk about music history. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
just like you said, just about anything. So I mean, I think it'll definitely be fun and weekly or bi-weekly. I mean, we'll figure it out. We got to get the technical
yeah,
stuff figured out with Discord because I know this is the first one, but
yeah.
that
Discord is a pain. I don't like Discord.
that'll come with time. We'll slowly
Yeah,
figure it
well,
out. It'll become more clean and polished. But yeah, dude, it's been sick so far. I really think this is gonna be fun doing these podcasts.
yeah, I agree. I enjoyed it. Anybody that wants to hear about specific things, leave it in the comments. We'll read them.
Yeah, we'll be happy to
Um,
answer them, and we'll also have the links. I'll have Quasar links, Age of Exile links, just pretty much anything linked to all of our music and our projects down below. And then, like Jacob
hmm
said, any specific questions any of y'all ask, we'll definitely be happy to answer them and talk.
Yeah, yeah. All right. We'll see y'all guys next time.
All right. Well,
Alrighty.
all right. Well, we're recording, so we can start whenever you're ready. I don't know if you want to do an introduction, so.
Um, I don't even know. I wasn't even prepared for an introduction. I was thinking about everything else. Uh, Let me think for a second. I suck at making videos. Um, Dude, now I just don't know what to say.
You know,
Um, Gosh damn it! I knew this was gonna happen. I was thinking about everything else except for the introduction,
you gotta
and
put
now
this
I'm
in the
nervous.
you
I
gotta
don't know
put
what to
this in the
say.
podcast. You gotta put it in the podcast. It's funny.
We'll put it as a deleted scene or something.
That's funny.